I faked a pregnancy to get back at a cheater, and I put him through a full month of emotional hell. He turned out to be a real man who was ready to step up, while I became the person who shattered his trust just to feel like I won. Now I'm living with a secret that could destroy not just our relationship, but my own conscience, and I don't know if it was worth it. I know the title sounds absolutely insane, but please hear me out before you judge me. This happened about a year and a half ago, and I still think about it constantly. I'm 22 now, but I was 21 when all of this went down. So let me start from the beginning. I landed my absolute dream job working for a really famous American content creators team. I had been obsessing over this opportunity for months, and when I finally got the offer, I was over the moon. The cool thing was that I already knew most of the team before I even got hired. I had met them at a company party a few months earlier, and apparently I made quite an impression. I'm a pretty outgoing person, and I guess I have this way of naturally becoming the center of attention at social gatherings. At that party, I kind of dominated the conversation and made everyone laugh, and they all loved me for it. Fast forward a few months, I applied for a position and they brought me on board immediately. I was literally on cloud nine. Over time, these people became like family to me. They meant everything to me, and I was so grateful to be part of this team. Now here's an important detail. The entire team was male except for me. I was the only woman in a sea of guys. Honestly, I loved it at first. I got tons of attention, compliments, and everyone looked out for me. But because I was the first girl they had ever hired, the main director laid down a very specific rule right away. Absolutely no dating between coworkers. He was pretty upfront about it, joking that he knew a lot of the guys would be interested in me and he wanted to prevent any drama before it started. On my first day, I met the few team members I hadn't encountered before, including my direct supervisor and this guy named Ryan. Ryan was 20 years old at the time, and within the first 5 seconds of meeting him, I could tell exactly what his intentions were. I've always been really good at reading people. I can see right through their motivations and figure out what makes them tick. Ryan was what you'd call a player, a total womanizer. It was written all over him, and he never even tried to hide it. Plus, I found out later that the other guys had been hyping me up to him for weeks, telling him that this gorgeous, sexy new girl was joining the team and that even some of the higher-ups were interested in me. I know that sounds incredibly egocentric coming from me, but I'm just being honest about how the situation was. When Ryan and I met, I immediately knew 2 things. First, if we ever hooked up, the sex would be incredible. I just had this intuition about it. And second, if something did happen between us, it would last for a long time. Not just be a one-time thing. From day one, Ryan started flirting with me hard. He was pulling out all the stops trying to get me into bed. At first, I thought I would just keep things professional because my job meant more to me than any fling. But I flirted back just for fun. I was curious to see how far he would go with his pursuit, and honestly, it was entertaining to watch. Plus, he started helping me out with work stuff, so there was even a practical benefit to keeping him interested. A few weeks into my time there, management announced they were hiring another woman for the team. Immediately, all the guys started asking me if I was going to be jealous, since I wouldn't be the only girl getting all the attention anymore. If this had happened when I was 17, I probably would have been insanely jealous. But by 21, I had matured enough to understand that women shouldn't see each other as competition. We should be allies. That said, I'm still pretty cautious about trusting new people, whether they're men or women. Until someone earns my trust, I keep them at arm's length. Enter Victoria. She was 22 or 23 when she joined our team, and from the moment she walked in, I could see her studying everyone. She was trying to figure out what made each person tick so she could manipulate them. She would identify someone's weakness or desire and then exploit it. For example, she quickly figured out that our supervisor loved intelligent women who read a lot, so she constantly brought up books and showed off her knowledge around him. She also realized he loved being praised, so she complimented him at every opportunity. With another colleague, she noticed he liked feeling needed, so she was always asking him for help with things, feeding his ego. She did this with everyone on the team, strategically building relationships so she could use people if she ever needed to.
The only person she couldn't crack was me. Over time, she realized that I only respect people who are genuine and aren't afraid to speak their truth, but she couldn't actually win my trust. She kept inviting me out for drinks and trying to bond with me. At one point, she told me she had a huge crush on our supervisor and wanted to sleep with him. I think she told me this because she assumed I was also interested in him and wanted to eliminate me as competition. But I genuinely didn't care about our supervisor in that way, so her little confession meant nothing to me. I played along and acted like I was being open with her too, but I never actually told her anything real about my life, my feelings, or my secrets. I kept her at a distance while pretending to be friendly. One Friday evening, we decided to throw an office party. Everyone got pretty drunk, and I decided that night would be the night. To be clear, I had made this decision while completely sober. As soon as they announced the party, I knew exactly how it would end for me. That night, Ryan and I hooked up. Only 3 people knew about it: Ryan, me, and one other colleague who drove us to Ryan's place. The next morning, Ryan came to me and laid everything out very honestly. He said that nothing serious could ever happen between us. He wanted to keep sleeping with me if I was interested, but I needed to understand that he would also be sleeping with other women. I agreed immediately because that arrangement worked perfectly for me too. I had known from the first day I met him that if we hooked up, it wouldn't turn into anything serious. We were both on the same page. The 3 of us who knew about it kept it completely secret from everyone else because, as you remember, relationships between coworkers were forbidden. Sorry for the long setup, but I feel like all these details matter for understanding what happened next. So time went on, and Ryan and I continued our arrangement. We had great sex, hung out, had fun together. A few times we tried to stop because hiding it was inconvenient, but we always ended up going back to each other. During all of this, Victoria kept talking to me constantly about our supervisor. Sometimes she loved him, sometimes she hated him. She was on this emotional roller coaster over him, and honestly, it exhausted me. But I continued being friendly with her. Eventually, I started to actually consider her a friend. I knew she was toxic and that she was probably using me for something, but I genuinely believed she wouldn't cross certain lines with me. After about 6 months, Victoria got fired. Our supervisor had known the whole time that she was trying to manipulate him into bed, and he finally got fed up with her games, so she was out. Here are some relevant details about Victoria's behavior during her time with us. She tried to seduce our supervisor even though he had a girlfriend. She invited another colleague who also had a girlfriend to her apartment and made out with him. At a company party, she kissed yet another colleague who also had a girlfriend. One time, right in front of me, she drunkenly kissed Ryan. I didn't react because Ryan was absolutely wasted and didn't even remember it the next day. I'm not trying to defend any of these guys because they were jerks for going along with it, but I'm convinced Victoria deliberately orchestrated these situations. I literally watched her randomly lunge at Ryan to kiss him while he was in the middle of talking to me, and the only thing on his mind at that moment was wanting to go home with me. After Victoria got fired, I made a really stupid mistake. During one of our conversations, I told her I had feelings for Ryan. I didn't tell her we had been sleeping together or anything like that, but I admitted I liked him. I have no idea what possessed me to tell her that. A few days later, Victoria messaged me saying that Ryan had reached out to her. According to her, he said he wanted to buy these special crepes that were only available in her neighborhood and that only she knew where to find. So she invited him over to her apartment to hang out and smoke weed together. I was absolutely furious. I could see exactly what she was planning. Her goal was to sleep with Ryan and then tell me about it to make herself feel superior. Victoria had serious self-esteem issues related to her weight, her glasses, and a bunch of stuff her parents had messed her up with psychologically. I think that's why she was constantly trying to one-up other people. I knew Victoria wasn't Ryan's type. Yes, he was a player, but he was a very picky player. Ryan liked women who looked like expensive escorts, that polished, high-maintenance type. I fit that aesthetic, which is why he pursued me so aggressively from the start. Victoria was the complete opposite of his usual type.
But I also knew Victoria was a master manipulator, so I was absolutely certain they would end up sleeping together. I know Ryan and I had an agreement that we could see other people, but this situation felt different. It felt like my boyfriend was cheating on me with my friend. Ryan knew Victoria and I were close, and sleeping with my friend was just not okay, agreement or no agreement. It was horrible. Ryan spent 24 hours at her apartment. The entire time, Victoria kept texting me updates like she was deliberately rubbing it in my face. We're smoking now. We're drinking now. We just woke up. We're playing video games. Every message felt like a knife. Those 24 hours were torture. I was dying inside. I felt sick the entire time. That evening, after Ryan left, Victoria called me. She said nothing had happened between them except for some kissing. She claimed they decided not to sleep together because they were too drunk, and that she would never do that to me anyway because she was my friend. I told her exactly what I thought of her. I said I knew she was just trying to feel superior by throwing it in my face that she got to be with the guy I liked. I cut her off completely that day and never spoke to her again. As for Ryan, I came up with a plan for revenge. The next day, I went on Craigslist and bought a positive pregnancy test from someone. Then I called Ryan and told him I needed to talk to him about something serious. I went to his apartment, showed him the test, and he immediately believed I was pregnant. My plan was simple: pretend to be pregnant, watch him panic and stress out, let him suffer through all those awful emotions, and then reveal it was all fake. I was going to say something like, "See how terrible you feel right now? That's exactly how I felt when you slept with Victoria. I never want to see you again because what you did felt like betrayal." And then walk out of his life forever. Very dramatic, I know. But things did not go according to plan at all. Instead of panicking, Ryan handled it like a mature adult. He immediately started comforting me and telling me everything would be okay. He asked if I wanted to keep the baby. I said no. He agreed that we were both too young and that termination was the only realistic option. Then he immediately called his cousin and explained the entire situation. He researched the best clinics for the procedure, learned about the different types of procedures available and their risks, and made sure nothing would threaten my health. He scheduled an appointment with a gynecologist right away and said he would cover all the expenses and support me through the entire process until it was over. I panicked. Seeing how seriously he was taking this, I completely lost my nerve. I couldn't bring myself to tell him it was all a lie. So I had no choice but to keep pretending I was pregnant. I went through with every single test the gynecologist ordered, all paid for with Ryan's money. The tests came back showing I was perfectly healthy. They even did an ultrasound, and I sent Ryan the picture with a caption saying, "Look at your baby." I still feel awful about that. The whole time, Ryan took incredible care of me. I researched everything about medication abortions so I could convincingly fake going through one. Ryan even picked me up from the clinic afterward, and I stayed at his place for several days because you're supposed to be monitored after the procedure. Since I live alone, he insisted I stay with him. So, technically, my revenge worked. Ryan spent an entire month stressed out thinking I was pregnant. He spent a bunch of money on tests and the supposed procedure, and for months afterward, he was terrified to sleep with anyone because he thought the same thing might happen again. Now, here's where I am today. It's been a year and a half since all of this happened. Ryan and I don't work together anymore,
But we still hook up occasionally because we both genuinely love the sex we have together. We've both admitted to each other that it's the best sex either of us has ever had. Honestly, I still don't know for sure if he and Victoria actually slept together that night. Recently, I asked him directly for the first time, and he said no. Before that, I had never brought up that situation with him at all. I know I probably should have directed my revenge at Victoria instead of Ryan, but I couldn't think of anything good enough for her. I want to tell Ryan the truth about the fake pregnancy someday when I work up the courage. I'm certain that when he eventually gets married and has real kids, he'll remember this incident, and it will hurt him deeply knowing I put him through that for no reason. So, here's my question. Am I a terrible person for faking a pregnancy as revenge? I know what I did was wrong, but I need to know just how wrong it was. Please be honest with me, even if it's harsh. I can take it. The guilt eats at me sometimes, especially because Ryan handled the situation so well and showed me he would have been a genuinely supportive partner if it had been real. He stepped up in a way I never expected. Meanwhile, I manipulated him, lied to him for weeks, made him go through emotional hell, and cost him a significant amount of money. All because I was hurt that he might have hooked up with someone I considered a friend, even though we had explicitly agreed we weren't exclusive. I'm scared to tell him because I don't know how he'll react. Will he hate me? Will he cut me off completely? Part of me feels like he deserves to know the truth, but another part of me is terrified of losing him from my life entirely. We have this weird connection that I've never had with anyone else, and I'm afraid that telling him will destroy it forever. I also wonder sometimes if Victoria actually slept with Ryan that night, or if she just let me believe they did to mess with my head. She was cruel enough to do something like that. But even if nothing happened, the fact that Ryan went over there knowing Victoria and I were friends still feels like a betrayal. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to justify what I did by convincing myself he deserved it. But deep down, I know that faking a pregnancy is an absolutely terrible thing to do to someone, especially someone who handled it with such maturity and care. Ryan showed me who he really was during that time, and instead of appreciating it, I used it as an opportunity to torture him emotionally. I keep telling myself I'll confess eventually, maybe when enough time has passed that it won't hurt as much. But I'm not sure that day will ever come. Every time I see him now, I think about it. Every time we're together, there's this secret sitting between us that only I know about. It feels like a weight I'm carrying alone, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to put it down. So Reddit, give it to me straight. Am I the asshole here? And if so, how do I make this right? Do I tell him and risk destroying what we have? Or do I carry this secret forever and let him live in ignorance? I honestly don't know what the right answer is anymore. Did this story get to you? Leave a like and subscribe. More true stories are coming soon.